Mm, 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 mm. Da, da, da. Aha, we're going. Good. Good morning. Looks like we're on there. Good deal. Had a little bit of trouble last week, but it looks like we're up and going. I just now was seeing this post. Wrapping up the VBS. That's some cool pictures. I don't know who all took those. Well, we got the camera, actually, some of them, but some of those had to be. Anyway, we got teaching from the belly of the fish. Like Jonah, well, he wasn't preaching from the belly of the fish. He was there needing to get something else, go somewhere else. He wasn't being obedient, wasn't it? I had we were having a conversation about that, and I need to get with the program here, get on with what we should be doing. Last week, it looks like we're up and going. There was we were having a conversation about that. Morning, Bailey. Morning, Mara. Good morning, Valerie. Andrea. Good morning. Boyd, Pete. Good morning. Morning, Joel. We were having a conversation yesterday, and morning, Brad Mays, Mary Gaff. The story of Jonah. Somebody was commenting they hadn't always realized what that was about. Why he went into the fish. There's several things that are interesting about that. Morning, Mom. There's several things that are interesting about that, but one, it was a type and a shadow of Jesus going into the heart of the earth. Or there's a tie-in, a parallel there, I guess, but he obviously, Jesus was 3 days in the belly of the earth, and he quoted that. Obviously, though, different reasons why they went where they went. Jesus never sinned, but he took our sin. But Jonah was unwilling to obey God, but the interesting thing was why he didn't want to obey God. He didn't want to obey God because he didn't want them forgiven. He didn't like those people. Now, I think that's a pretty good thought to make sure we don't do that same thing. Asking God to give us a heart for all people, and being willing to hear and to obey. Sometimes that's a process. And what I mean by that, you may begin to walk with God and obey God, but you may struggle with being willing to continue and continue in your growth and love people the way God loved them. A little bit distracted here. Good morning, Tiffany. Joe, good morning. I'm going to go over to Isaiah 50, and I'm going to read the verses that I have use to give the example of how one of the ways that I set my faith to hear God and to obey God and to just ministry to other people. Yet now, one of the scriptures that I used, and again, I'm telling you what I did. Not that you have to do exactly what I've done, and not that I've been perfect in all of this, but if we will give like I talked about yesterday, if we will give our heart's desire to God and allow Him to shape and mold us, we're going to be the type of person that He needs us to be. But we're also going to be, and we're also going to be more like Him. We're going to keep growing in the process. We ought to not ever stop growing. We ought to never stop trying to improve in our walk with God. He says here in verse 4 of Isaiah 50, "So the sovereign Lord has given me His words of wisdom, so that I know how to comfort the weary." Boy, just the way this New Living Translation reads or displays that right there, the sovereign Lord, it identifies who God is, or who is God, not us but Him, right? But it says He's given me His words of wisdom, and then I love that it identifies why He gives us wisdom. It's not just for ourselves, but it's so that we can minister and be effective in ministering to others. He says, so that I know how to comfort the weary. Morning by morning He wakes me and opens my understanding, opens my ears. But the King James, version that just says opens my ears, here it broadens that a little bit, and it opens our understanding. I'm not just hearing, but I'm understanding. Now, we know in communication with people, there's times things are said. That's one of the reasons. The other day I was talking to somebody on kind of some things that we were texting, and I finally just called him. I said, I don't always know how a text will sound. You don't always get the tone. You don't get it's hard to convey sarcasm if you're being sarcastic. It's hard to, is this said in anger? Is this said in a lightheartedness? You aren't always able to convey that. Well, that's going to affect the understanding, right? And so we want to be able to hear God, and so much of that is what's our heart? How is our heart? See, I want Him to awaken me morning by morning and open my understanding, not just my ears to hear, which we're hearing God speak inside in our spirit man, not through our audible or outside ears, but yet we're hearing. So we want to hear, and we want to have understanding. And then verse 5 says, the sovereign Lord has spoken to me, and I have listened, and I have not rebelled or turned away. Isaiah, different from Jonah. Jonah heard the word, was given an assignment, and he decided he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to listen, and he didn't want to obey. And the interesting thing was that it was because he didn't like what God was going to do for Nineveh. The people of Nineveh, He wanted them to burn in hell. I mean, He wanted them to, He didn't want them blessed. He didn't like them. So we have to sometimes grow beyond where we're at so that we can love the unlovable, or at least love the ones that we wouldn't normally want to love. See, Jesus, He looked at the crowd, and he didn't say, boy, I like that person, I don't like this person. He had compassion on them and was able to see all for the good of what they are. I really try to see people's qualities. I try to look past the differences. Some people are easier to love than others, but so are dogs, so are horses, so are, your pet. You have some pets that just click with you. You love them because why? We don't always identify the why, or it'd be, or maybe there's a big list, a long list of why. But when we look at it and we see what God's doing, and in this verse, the why he gives this is not just so we look good and we always make right decisions, but it's so that we can minister to other people. And I think that was a part of this, and a lot of that will take us growing. We got to be willing to what do you have to do in order to grow? You have to be pruned. You have to be, you have to, or what did he say about the trees and the branches of the trees? He said, I'm going to prune you so that you produce more fruit, so that you're better. It's a part of the process. And so growing in this, if I have a struggle, and that's, I guess, the word this morning, if I am struggling to follow and obey, I got to ask myself why. Is it because I'm still wanting to rule my life? Is it still something that I'm not wanting to give up? Not something that I want to change? Or is it because if God's asking me to do something that affects other or involves other people, maybe I'm not quite ready yet, because we've probably all been there, is I'm not quite ready yet to be able to truly love that person or truly pray for that person, or I want them to, I'm just going to leave that right there. You think about that. And our sovereign Lord spoke to me and I have listened. So we listened and not rebelled. Now, interesting, Isaiah is a very prophetic book, and I'm not going to spend much time on this part, but then it's prophetically talking about Jesus and the Messiah, because he says in verse 6, I offered my back to those who beat me and my cheeks to those who pulled out my beard. I did not hide my face from the mockery and the spitting. Because the sovereign Lord helps me, I will not be disgraced. Therefore I have set my face like a stone, determined to do his will, and I know that I will not be put to shame. Some of the things that he was saying, they didn't fully understand. So there's things within the book of Isaiah especially. It's the most quoted Old Testament book, maybe except for Psalms. But I think Isaiah is actually more than Psalms even. But Jesus quoted it quite often. But set your heart and ask God to grow you in the areas that you need to be grown in. If there's an area that you don't have wisdom in, Lord, grow me in my understanding. If there's an area or a thing that you're hesitant to be obedient in, God, grow me in my boldness. Grow me in my life of obedience to you, and my willingness. And then also grow me, Lord, in my ability to love some who might be harder to love because of how maybe the difference is there. So grow and continue to grow. Boy, I tell you what, that's a important part to all that we do. Good morning. Anyway, be willing to grow, and God will continue to grow you. Y'all be blessed. Go get them for Jesus. Love y'all. Morning, Travis. Morning, Scott. Morning, Benjamin. Morning, I think Tiffany, Christy, Jacob. Good morning. Morning, Lon. Debbie, good morning. We have, I think I got everybody else. If I missed you, I apologize, but you guys know who you are. So you guys go be blessed. Let's have a great week, even though it's going to be up in the hundreds again. Actually, it got really hot yesterday too. We had some cattle out. Was had to go hunt down, and these dry weather. I got one pasture that has electric fence on part of it because it's a rented place that I'm not going to spend money, and they won't spend money, so I just put up electric fence. And this time of year, it gets aggravating. Well, you guys go be blessed.